while I was determined to be number one, I had to fight tooth and nail with my own. You have to start with desire. Don't get too caught up in how am I going to necessarily get there just yet. Don't get too caught up in thinking that confidently you can't get there, because if I got caught up in that, I would have never gotten to it.
Your motivation was, I want to be number one because I want to show my kids that it's possible.
Yep.
The bad teachers for you, and really being picky about who you're learning from, which I just think is...
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
Serum 3. This is what it really takes to hit high levels of origination. Matt, share what Serum 3 is.
Serum 3. I think there are 3 major components that originators need to understand and think about if they want to hit extraordinary levels of origination. You're going to hear me say the word extraordinary. I use it all the time because if you look at extraordinary, in my opinion, it's 2 words into one. Extraordinary. So when I say extraordinary originations, it's extraordinary originations. So if you're looking for extraordinary in anything, we have to do things differently. We have to think differently. Okay. That's the name of the game. Okay. So when we look at Serum 3, we have to ask ourselves these questions and or the method behind it and think about how it applies to us. So Serum 3, #1, in order to hit high levels of origination, we start with desire. Desire. What is your desire? Is your desire as an originator to be #1 in your city, #1 in the county, #1 in the state? Or are you crazy enough, and I say crazy in a loving way, but you got to be crazy to hit #1 in the nation? But you have to define that. Okay. Now, desire and defining your desire, it doesn't necessarily have to be #1. Look, someone might say that their desire is to hit a certain income goal, a certain level of production, and spend additional time with their family, whatever it may be. There's no judgment on that because you're, as the originator, the leader of your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
But it always starts with desire. What is your true desire? I can say that I had a specific desire. It was 2010, and my desire was to be #1. And the reason for that at the time is my wife, Nadia, and I were expecting our firstborn, Alexander. And I was just determined to show this young man, and of course, my beautiful daughter came after, but it was at the time of my son being born. I was determined to show this young man that I could hit #1 in the field that I chose. And the idea behind that is for him to know that you can hit #1 in the field that he chooses. And for my daughter, so that she can hit #1. But you have to have the desire, because if you don't have the desire, then you don't have really, I guess, the end goal in mind. So desirability, I mean, look, you came into this industry and you shared with me your desire, okay, to be #1. You started off in Broward County. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Correct. I mean, it's funny because with the desire in this business, as originators, we come into this business and this industry, and you're kind of just standing there. I picture an originator standing there on the sidewalk and just looking around at like this big city, right? And this is an analogy, but looking around and just being like, whoa, this is overwhelming. I don't know what I'm going to be able to accomplish. Maybe that's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Maybe that's a little bit of just, self-doubt. But what's important is if you can find a motivator. So for your motivation was, I want to be number one because I want to show my kids that it's possible.
Yes.
My motivation coming into this industry was I want to give my wife a life to where she can be a stay-at-home mom and stay home with our future kids. Right.
Right.
Then as that progressed, there was a strong and burning passion inside of me that wanted to be the best.
Correct.
I don't know if that was just a competitive nature or if that was just me wanting to, reach peak performance or me do that for my kids. I can't pinpoint that.
Right.
But what I knew that I wanted was to be number one. Now, what comes after that is where a lot of people get confused. So I'm interested to hear step two.
Well,
yes, in the Serum.
No doubt about it. But if you think about it, we're just getting right back to desire for a moment.
Sure.
I want to make sure that the originator that's listening understands one thing. While I was determined to be number one, I had to fight tooth and nail with my own personal confidence level. I wasn't overly confident in that.
Sure.
Someone looking at me today would say, gosh, this guy looks like the most confident human in the world.
Well, that's what holds. Okay. That's what holds a lot of people back.
Without a doubt. And so that's something that you learn to cope with over time. Okay, what increases confidence is wins along the way because there's a lot of losses along the way.
Sure.
Okay, so I had to deal with that, and I still deal with it to this day. Oh, well, ready? So you and I went to a new relationship, and we were going to be presenting in front of a brand new group just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the broker owner, okay, which also was the team leader. Okay, number one in their respective market. I'll leave him nameless, but a big agent that sells a lot of homes. Okay, he was going to introduce the two of us, okay, to come up and present to his great sales force of 35 agents.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, 5 minutes before we went up on stage, I said to you, let us remember who we are.
Sure, yeah.
And if you recall, in me saying that, I was really talking to myself, okay, so I can give myself the confidence in going and doing it. It was almost like an affirmation that I was saying out loud to you. But what you didn't know is internally to me in my mind, I kept saying to myself over and over again,
yeah,
I meant for this. I meant for this. So I'm saying that to say this. You have to start with desire. Don't get too caught up in how am I going to necessarily get there just yet. Don't get too caught up in thinking that confidently you can't get there. Because if I got caught up in that, I would have never gotten to number one in my respective state, and I never would have hit it in the nation, okay? So that's really, really important. Number 2 of Serum 3, learn. You got to first have the desire. Second part of this process is to learn how. There is a quote that I always look at, I should say, which is, if I've seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. Sir Isaac Newton, that was his quote. What that simply means is that mentorship, learning how to do it from others that are already doing it, is critically important. Far too often, originators, okay, because it's a lonely world in the origination world.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. You can be with the best company, but at the end of the day, you're by yourself. You're with your own thoughts. You're with your own, basically you're by yourself every single day. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Okay. So in that, it's very difficult to figure it out on your own. You will end up figuring it out on your own at some point, but isn't the idea to shorten the time span of that? Isn't it the idea of, hey, wait a minute, if someone else is doing it to an extraordinary level, why don't I go and learn from them? What would you tell your kids? I share with my son, he loves basketball. So I share with him all the time, son, okay, can you please go to the high school point guard and ask him if he could mentor you or at least share what it is that he's doing? It's the same thing that we should be doing as originators, but we tend to close ourselves off. We tend to not go to others to learn. Now, there are a lot of gurus out there. Here's the scary part about learning. In today's world with social media, you have everyone out there that's selling a magic pill, a magic process that hasn't done it themselves. And you know how I feel about that.
Hmm.
Okay. There's podcasts out there that originators are listening to that are they're not in their industry. They're not even in their related industry. So those podcasters have to talk in such generic form. Go win the day. Go crush. Crush what? Win what day? What business are you even in? Okay, so there is an outlet. We're trying to create that outlet right here with Originate for Life. There are people that have done what it is that you're looking to accomplish as an originator, okay, today. I mean, watch, you and I are one of them. We're not talking about what we did 3 years ago. We're talking about what we're doing today and what we're going to continue to do. F13 Consulting, not making this a commercial, okay, because it really isn't for everyone. You know that. Okay, but the ones that want to be number one, okay, F13 Consulting fills that need. There's other programs out there that originators can tap onto. And then there's mentorship, learning from others and asking that originator if they can be a mentor. Here, you said to me when we were merging together, okay, which I'm very touched about, you said to me that one of the value propositions that I was able to provide to you, okay, was mentorship, right? And so, you can expand on that for the great group.
Yeah. Just to expand on that, I learned at a young age, I remember my dad telling me that you can learn from everybody, but not everybody's going to be a good teacher. And what he meant by that is not that they're not willing to teach you. It's that what they're teaching you is always good.
Right.
And so it's not just a recipe of, I just want to learn and finding somebody who will teach you, but it's about finding the right teacher for you, that understands how you tick, understands how you think, in those different types of things. And what I think is very important to note about that is when I was partnering with you, and now we have a mentor-mentee relationship, is what have you been able to do in your career that I want to do? What can I learn from? And also, is the person that's teaching you, do they have your best interest in mind? Do they want to help you get to where you want to be? And those are all necessary questions and in a necessary way to dissect. I remember early on in my career, I was trying to find as an originator somebody who would teach me something. And there's just not, it's very dog eat dog world. And it's not very, friendly as far as that category is concerned. And I remember listening to somebody that said, you only need to work Monday through Thursday. No Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I said, immediately I'm throwing that out because it just doesn't resonate with me. That's not how I feel like you can get to number one.
Right.
And so it's just about filtering out the bad teachers for you, and really being picky about who you're learning from, which I just think is an important piece of the battle, because you can get led astray very easily, especially in the mortgage space.
I mean, the easiest way for an originator is before you ask, okay, for the mentorship, or before you sign up for any type of coaching or consulting of any kind, just check out the resume of the person you're going to be speaking to.
It's huge.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, just simplify the process. Okay. And that's my viewpoint on it.
Yep.
Number 3 of Serum 3, discipline. Discipline. This is a tough one. Okay.
I mean, you've heard me say before, discipline and script go hand in hand.
That's right.
And so I know you're elaborate on, but I wanted to throw that out there to lay the foundation, because that's very important.
You better believe it. When you think about it, you first have to have the desire. Then you have to learn. And then what you're learning is you have to now put into action, and you have to have the discipline to stay the course. We've all heard hard work meets opportunity. That equals luck. That couldn't be any more true. I've seen it over the past 20 years of me being in this industry, that when you learn what to do, you have to put it in action, and you have to stay disciplined in putting it and keeping it into action. Now you have to course correct here and there. Do not get me wrong. But you have to let that compound over a period of time. And when it compounds over a period of time, it's going to then meet its opportunity, and you want to hit that intersection there, and that's when takeoff happens. That's when the next phase or the next iteration of business takes place. I'll give you an example. I've been training agents for years about competing and winning in a multiple offer environment and situation. So much so it dates back to 2010. Okay, I was training agents about winning in a multiple offer in 2010. 99.9% of originators had no idea what that even meant at the time. So over the years, of course, I was scaling my originations as being a leader in the industry. I'm showing agents how to change the sales contract so they could, of course, eliminate buyer competition, because the South Florida market was in a heavy multiple offer. But guess what? 2020 came. And when 2020 came, and we entered a heavy multiple offer environment, all those years of staying the course, of staying disciplined, of teaching the 7 elements of structuring a winning offer that we do here at the Matt Weaver team for our agents, it met its opportunity with the most aggressive market virtually our real estate markets have ever seen in the history of selling real estate. Okay? That time came, and agents that even were so in bed with and so friendly with all these other originators, they had to leave them at the time, and they came to us because they knew that there was one team that understood how to compete and win at a high level. That was hard work meeting its opportunity. Another phase of hard work meeting its opportunity is staying disciplined to the team structure and process. Okay, so how did that opportunity present itself? Okay, here today. Well, you and I merged together. Okay, so it's the discipline of my team structure that I stayed the course year over year. We sat down, you saw the value in it, okay, which made the decision-making process a little easier for us to come together. Okay, you doing what you were doing for the past 5 years and staying disciplined to it presented its opportunity back to me to say, wait a minute, I want to know this guy.
Sure.
And that's the value of discipline, but it's not not easy.
No.
Okay, you know all about you were a former athlete. You know about discipline.
Yeah, discipline is interesting because it's the way that I look at it, and you just touched on it a little bit. The way that I look at it is it's important for you as an individual, but it's also important for an organization and the product that they're showing to the consumers and the rest of the landscape in the industry. So one thing I noticed about your team when I was building what I was building, I mean, we were only 20 minutes down the road. So I got a firsthand look at what you all were doing. Was everything was so structured, exact, scripted, and people gravitated towards that, because what we've talked about is people are more attracted to a process than an individual.
Yep.
And the only way to create an effective process that people are attracted to is to stay disciplined. And that is what I think is so cool about the originators listening to this, is because we talked about the origination cycle. We've talked about that at length. We'll continue to. But the industry almost calls for an undisciplined day,
Right.
an undisciplined plan of action, because it's impossible. You have to play constant defense.
Right.
But in our structure and what we're building, we're on offense, which I think is huge to mention, because that doesn't exist. You can look at our structure and plug into a structure and have exactly what you're going to be doing every day. You have the metrics, you have exactly what it looks like, whatever lane you're in to excel. And that is what I think is cool about staying disciplined, not only because it's good for you, but it's also good for the product. It's good for people. It's good for whoever you're selling to, whoever your customer is. It attracts them to your process.
That's right.
And that's what I found so cool about what you all were doing here, was that people were just attracted to that process.
That's right. So if you think about it, here's the takeaway for the originator that's listening today.
Mm-hmm.
Pull out a piece of paper, pen in hand, and write down number 1, desire. What is my desire? Do you want to be number 1 in your city, in the county, in your state, in the nation? Or do you have another type of desire? Whatever it may be, write down what your desire is.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, learn. Who can you tap onto? Who can you learn from? Okay. Who is doing it to an extraordinary level that you want to emulate? That's all it is to. That's all there is to it.
Learn from the right people.
That's it. And number 3, discipline. Commit to yourself that you will have the discipline to put in the work today that you may not see rewards for a year or 2 or 3 out. But it's no different than anything else. It's no different than working out. It's no different than anything that we do. We have to remain disciplined to the process. So we write down those 3.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. I can't stress enough how important it is to hone in on that, put pen to paper, stare at it every day, put it in a place where you can constantly be reminded of your desire, who you're learning from, and what practices you're going to put into place to discipline your day. I just think that's so important. So thank you, Matt.